Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button to help me out, help me get my subscribers up. Make sure you leave a comment, let me know where I've gone right or wrong with this deck, how much you've enjoyed it. And, let your friends know. Let them come and subscribe as well. Really appreciate it at the moment. I'm trying to get the numbers up. Anyway, today's deck tech is all about an area of the game I don't abuse that often. That is the graveyard. I don't tend to use the graveyard in any of my decks. It's not something I've ever felt comfortable doing. I've always been afraid of things like Bajuka Bog, Leyline of the Void, so on and so forth. But this commander, well, this legendary creature from March of the Machine, really has told me to go, no, go and do it. You've got to get it right. You've got to try it out. So, what are we talking about? Well, I am talking about Kroxa and Kunoros. 3 red, white, and black for 6/6 legendary creature Elder Giant Dog. Can't see the dog on there, but it does say dog, trust me. With Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink. Now, a 6/6 with those 3 abilities, yes, the mana cost is a little bit tricky. It's really nice. But it's the second ability I really enjoy. Whenever Kroxa and Kunoros enter the battlefield or attack, you may exile 5 cards from your graveyard. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Like this plan, this is good. So, it is obviously a graveyard deck that I'm going to be trying to build in today. I'm trying to abuse it. It's like I say, it's not my strongest suit, so please, please, please let me know where I've missed stuff out. I'm just going to do something, we'll show the deck. It's here. We've got red, black, and white lands as normal. The mana value, if you look at the list on Goldfish, is going to be quite high because we've got Arid Messer, we've got Badlands, we've got in Marsh Flats, Plateaus in here somewhere, along with Scrublands. So, monetary, expensive, MTGO, not too bad. Not great, but not too bad. Ramp side, Mox Tantalite, Soul Ring, Signet, one of each of the talismans. So I've got into the talismans recently and they're actually working out really well for me in a lot of the decks I'm playing them in. So, go and grab some while they're very, very cheap if you haven't got them already. But what this deck is trying to do is trying to hit a little bit of a combo side of things. And there are some cards, unusually, as you know for me, if you watch my previous deck techs, go through them stage by stage. But I want to pick out these cards because this is what we're trying to build and make this work around. The first thing I'm going to point out is Altar of Dementia. Now, if we have Altar of Dementia in play, you all know what it does. Sacrifice a creature, mill those cards, yeah? We can play Kroxa and Kunos, put the trigger on the stack for the enter of the battlefield, sack Kroxa and Kunos to Altar of Dementia, so we mill 6 cards, and then bring it back again. We gain 1 card in our graveyard each time we do it, but we can bring it back again. And it's like, okay, how's that going to work then? Well, what I want to do is abuse this ability. And the easy way I found of doing it so far is with Terror of the Peaks, which is part of the combo, obviously. You want Terror of Peaks in play, then hit the Kroxa combo with Mesmeric Orb. Altar of Dementia. Mesmeric Orb is in their deck. I was looking at the wrong card. Or you want Wallstorm Surge in play, which does exactly the same thing as Terror of the Peaks, just a little bit harder to remove and a little bit more expensive to cast, but, does the same job. We've got the backups in Impact Tremors. That's also here. I mean, it's only 1 damage. It's going to take a long time, and you will you will have milled yourself out before you kill anyone with Impact Tremors. But Impact Tremors and Terror of the Peaks means this does 7 every time it comes in, which 7 is not too bad to do, but it's still dodgy. You do probably need both of them in play, but it works. And the final part, obviously, we're milling creatures. So if we've got it in play. Where have you gone, Sir Conrad? There you are. Sir Conrad the Grim. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature leaves your graveyard, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Now, so that's 2 if you do the Kroxa loop, and anything else you happen to mill gives you bonus damage. So it does speed up quite quickly. If you can get both Sir Conrad and Terror of the Peaks in play, along with Altar of Dementia, and you start doing the loop with Kroxa, you will win the game, I think, quite quickly. Now, we've got a couple of other things in here that help us double up on these triggers. Panharmonicon, I definitely believe it works, because you are casting, whenever a creature on enter, and because you've got creatures entering the battlefield, an ability of a permanent you can call can trigger, That ability triggers an additional time, so we've got creatures bouncing in and out. Elish Norn is in, Mother of the Machines, and from the previous Phyrexia All will be one set. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, it triggers additional time. So, that definitely does work. And that's it. So we're hopefully doubling up from that point of view. And I believe it all works quite happily. Impact Tremor's a little bit weak, but we want one of these three basically with a doubler. And then hopefully we can just win with Kroxa. That's my plan anyway. But we've got a few other ways of winning the game if we need to. If we just want to make things exiled in and out, if they try to go and kill us, we've got Cloud Shift in the deck. I've chucked it in just so we can exile a creature, then return it to the battlefield under our control. Does say enter the battlefield. Doesn't matter where it enters from, so it's another mill set. We've got a few ways of filling the graveyard up already. So we've got Gnawing Vermin in the deck and Viscera Seer and a few other things. But I am playing Vampiric Tutor because at the end of the day we may have to win with combat, and we've got a couple of cards coming up that let us just bring everything back from the graveyard and hopefully do it that way. Otherworldly Journeys in, exile target creature at the beginning of next end step, bring it back with a +1/+1 counter. Necrogen Communion, when enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So that's quite a nice, cheaper way. You get double triggers off Kroxa, because you can kill it and return it via Altar of Dementia. I'm playing red. Dockside's in, of course it is. Impact Tremors I've mentioned. Alea gives us another way to sacrifice things and gain some life if we need it. Again, not the most useful way of doing things, but it does work. Ginny, Master of the Revenue, is also in because we do sacrifice a lot of permanents in this deck, so we might as well make this guy bigger and then, his power, kill him off. And, hopefully shoot someone for the last few bits. Kalain, the Reclusive Painter's in because we might as well have the treasure to help us combo a little bit quicker, and the Dockside combos help. The original Kroxa is here because we can just sacrifice as soon as he comes into play, and it will, each opponent who doesn't discard loses 3 life, so again it helps. And Mesmeric Orb. Now I've put Mesmeric Orb in as a way for us to mill stuff into our graveyard. The upside does mill everyone else at the same time, so maybe slows them down, especially if they're manipulating the top of their library, but it's to help us build our graveyard up so we can do Kroxa tricks as things go along. Airlift Chaplain does that as well. Has the nice ability of bringing back anything with mana value 3 or less. So you can bring back any of these guys, which could be quite helpful at some point. Lauren of the Third Path, I've said it's going to turn up in white decks. It's turning up today as well, so oh well. Pious Evangel is also back in. Just a bit of life game really, and when we start killing our creatures off, lose one, gain one, do the whole drain thing. Likewise, Bastion of Remembrance is here for that same ability as well. Cemetery Tampering, I figured we'd have 20 cards in our graveyard very quickly, and therefore we can play the exiled card very cheaply. Fane gives us another way to sack things off, create treasure tokens, so on and so forth. Gorging Vulture, just another way to mill cards, and then we gain some life for each creature, for 1 life for each creature card milled this way. We probably won't be milling them, but it's just we want to mill up to this so we can do this if we need to. Likewise, Grey Slad is in from the Battle for Baldur's Gate set. Mill the cards. This one does have a nice ability because as long as there's 4 more creature cards in our graveyard, it does get Menace and Death Touch, so it becomes a reasonably good blocker. It's just a shame the toughness is 1. Morgue Thrall, another way of just milling some cards really, and quite like the picture on this always makes me giggle, so hence why it's here for today. Necromancer's Assistant enters the battlefield, we mill 3. Rogue's Gallery. Now, I didn't even realise this existed from Streets of New Capenna, but for each colour, return up to 1 target creature card of that colour from your graveyard to your hand, which is quite a nice way of getting things back if we need to get back Terra, Sir Conrad or Elish Norn, or one of the other creatures that we have in the colour. So, yeah, that came in. Bonus card as far as I'm concerned. Stinkweed Imps in, the traditional way of dredging for creatures, so that went in. The Scrapsmith from Brothers War, another way of getting our artifacts in from our graveyard into our hand if we happen to lose one somehow. Lagomos, Hand of Hatred. We get to sacrifice a creature, but we can search your library for a card and put it into your hand. Then shuffle, activate if any 5 or more creatures died this turn. Probably not going to be happening that often, but it does give us another way of, maybe attacking for 2, then milling a couple of cards if we need to. Mahildi Emporium Master is here. Whenever beginning of your end step, create a treasure token for each creature that died this turn. That helps with our mana generation entirely. And if we're doing that, we might also have Mayhem Deviling, sacking things off and pinging 1 damage here, there, and everywhere. Likewise, Queen Kalia Bin Krug I chucked in. Really nice way of discarding our entire hand if it's too big. And then we get to return things with mana value 1, mana value 2, mana value 3. So, you could return Soul Ring, Dockside, I don't know, Mayhem Devil. Options are there. And Workshop Assistant, I also chucked in just to make sure that we had another way. If Altar of Dementia gets killed quite quickly, as long as it doesn't get exiled, we have a way of bringing it back if we need to. Teleportation Circle, just to do the Kroxa tricks, that's what it's here for. Wrath of God to control the board, along with Damnation and Chain Reaction. They're all here. Whisper gives another way to sack creatures off and return things. It's quite nice because we can sack off some of the smaller things we don't need anymore and maybe return Terra, so Conrad, Elish and Orn if they've been milled. So bear that in mind. Diabolic Tutor is just another let's go find a card, and I'll explain why in a second when we get there. Dread Return, just to get creatures back from our graveyard again, gives us a bit of return for these 3 that are kind of key. Porphyros is another part. I chucked it in at the last minute to be honest, and it is part of the combo as well because creatures entering the battlefield, it does 2 to everybody. It's a nice way to get around it. Kethek, it gives us a way to go and sack things off and go and get something we might need. Not quite sure what we're going to sack off from the 5-drop slot, to be perfectly honest, apart from maybe the Sabisi Host because it's not that great. But go and get something else is fine by me. Mogus is in as well. Our opponents get to sacrifice creatures or take 2 damage. And Butcher of the Horde, another way of us just getting creatures in the graveyard if we need to. And it's not a bad little finisher at the end of the day, from my point of view. Plus I played it for ages and I liked it. Elish and Orn I've mentioned. Sabisi's Host is terrible, but it mills 3. It's a 2/6 blocker, which we can use to sack off to Kethek to go and get something that may be more useful. Unburial Rites is just another way to bring back things that may have been milled or killed. And, it's got flashback as well, so even if this gets milled, it still has its benefits. Liliana, Death's Majesty, is one of the 2 planeswalkers in the deck. Gives us a zombie. We mill a couple of cards. -3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Another way of protecting our stuff if we need to. Here's the first thing that we may go and get Vampiric Tutor or Diabolic Tutor for, is Living Death. If we've managed to mill everything into our graveyard, and I have done it once or twice, where I've milled this, and then I've got a whole load of other creatures that have already died off. Yeah, bringing this back and getting all the nice triggers from Terror of the Peaks does mean it's a game win quite quickly. Open the Graves is nice, just a way of getting some more black zombie tokens if we're killing our creatures off. Sacrificing things to Altar of Dementia gives us zombies. Nice. So Conrad, Terror of the Peaks, you've seen me talk about, along with Warstorm Surge. I'm also playing the Eternal Wanderer. Samurai tokens with Double Strike, thank you, yes. And the +1 is very nice as well. Exile up to 1 target artifact or creature, return that card to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of this next end step. Yeah, okay then. The last 2 cards do the same thing as Living Death. Rise of the Dark Realms, everyone's seen. But this is different because you get to stick everyone's creatures, and with Terror of the Peaks in play, you will literally kill everyone in one shot. So it's good fun. And Finale of Eternity, just destroy 3. We want to make this 10 or more. We do have somewhere, just to make sure, because people are going to be saying, oh, they'll get countered, Besiegers in the deck. As long as you've got spare 2 life kicking around, you can make this uncounterable. And believe me, that hurts people a lot. But that's it. That's my take on Kroxa and Kunoros. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments anything you think I've missed. Let me know if you want to see me anything change. Let me know what card you want me to cover next, because the video tomorrow is just going to be some replay because I've run out of time to record any more videos this weekend. So we're having a replay stream tomorrow, and that's it. So hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next deck tech, which will be up next week. Take care. See you soon. Bye.